Hi, I'm Hannah Cruz at the Church Musicians Assistant. Today I would like to help you play inspiring hymn reharmonizations for your congregation. I believe that after watching this video, you will be able to employ 5 simple techniques immediately to your hymn playing. Now, I'm guessing that you might be a little overwhelmed by the amount of reharmonization advice on the internet. There are a lot of demonstration tutorials out there on various hymns, but no videos I can find anyway that thoroughly teach and explain easy and applicable ways to reharmonize. Furthermore, almost nobody is approaching this reharmonization topic from the angle of creative hymn playing. So as a church musician, I want to fill that educational gap and help you get from your current skill level to where you would like to be so that you can more effectively minister to your congregation through communal song. Get ready because we are about to dive into those 5 hymn reharmonization strategies that you can utilize right away. But first, I urge you to go download my free worksheet on this topic. It's at the link in the description box below, thechurchmusiciansassistant.com/5, the number 5, reharm strategies, /5 reharm strategies. And this worksheet is gonna provide you with a great outline of what we're about to cover, as well as note-taking space. So you can print it out, keep it in a binder, save it on your computer, whatever, so that you can reference these ideas in the future whenever you need to. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, simplify the existing harmonies. I know most of the time we think, oh, we've got to reharmonize. That means we've got to make it more complicated, more fancy. But actually a great way and an easy way to reharmonize is actually to simplify, to reduce the existing harmonies. So what you can do is look at your hymn. Some hymns are more harmonically complicated than others. This is particularly nice on hymns that are kind of complicated. So identify the harmonies on the strong beats. Start with each measure and look at the harmony at the beginning of the measure, okay? And if you need to notate that on top of the melody note. And then look at the other strong beats in the measure. If you're in 4/4, the strong beats are usually 1 and 3. If you're in 6/8, it's 1 and 4. If you're subdividing into 6 smaller parts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In 3/4, it's usually just 1, unless it's really, really slow, and then maybe every beat is important. It just depends on the hymn. And then you'll play the melody over those simplified chords. So you can just practice playing the melody in the right hand and the triad in the left hand. And then if you're on organ, you could put the root of the chord in your pedal. And kind of just try to let your ear tell you when to change chords. You can honestly just start out playing the tonic chord, play the melody over it, and your ear will kind of tell you when, okay, we need to change to a different chord. And then you can figure out what that chord is. But this is a good way to go about simplifying, is to just kind of trust your ear. If you don't want to go about the tedious way of labeling, all the strong beats, harmonies. So here's an example. This is Hifredal, Come Thou Long Expected Jesus. I know you all are familiar with this, but I'm just going to play the first phrase so you can get that in your ear. All right, this hymn is lovely and it has a beautiful 4-part setting, which choirs often sing, but it can be significantly simplified. So this first measure first two measures actually, it's just an F chord. And then the following measure is just a C dominant chord. And then we go back to F. We can put that A in the bass if you want to. And then a C dominant again. So all together, if we were to play this whole phrase simplified, it would sound something like this. That's actually very beautiful. It has this sweeping quality, a pastoral simplicity, or maybe even naivete to it. And perhaps that's a quality that you might want to convey to the congregation. So what you can do if you have the worksheet and you've got it printed out is you could fill in the blanks and try to simplify each measure or phrase as it comes. Now the second phrase is identical to the first phrase, so it's very easy. That's going to be, I'm looking at the second line here, that's going to be F, F, C dominant, F again, then C dominant, I've simplified the next phrase for you. This is just A minor, and then D minor, and then G minor. Sorry, I should have put a small G here. G minor, C7, F, D minor, again G minor. Sorry. C, and you can put that little suspension in if you want to. Go ahead and write in the next phrase on your worksheets. Number 2, use pedal points. Yes, this is a common one, but often people say, oh yeah, just use pedal points, and they don't give you any further instruction on it. And it's pedal points don't always work, and so when they don't work, that's when you're like, how do I do this? So first of all, the best pedal points are the 1, so the root, or the 5th, the dominant. And I personally like the 5 chord root to be in the bass. I like that one the most because it's dominant and it wants to pull to the tonic, and so it creates a lot of excitement and attention. And it's very pleasing when it finally resolves to 1. Both of those pedals, 1 or 5, they work under simple harmonies like 1, 4, and 5. But minor 2 and minor 7 sound fine also. So let me show you how that would sound. I'm just playing in C major right now. Let's use 1 as our pedal, and I'm going to play 1, 4, 5. Now I'm going to play it over 5. I'm going to play those same chords over G. Here is what the minor 2 and the 7 would sound like if I added those in. I'm playing over C right now. And then over G, it sound pretty good over a pedal. And technically, any diatonic triads sound pretty good over a pedal point. I'll show you what I mean. If I play C in the pedal, and then I just play all of the diatonic chords in a row, or if I play the fifth in the pedal, so as you see, any diatonic harmony will work. But sometimes in context, some of those chords are a little bit jarring, and your ear will tell you. And these are some pretty reliable substitutions for those somewhat jarring chords. Okay, so if you have a minor 6 chord in your major scale, I find that that one doesn't sound as nice, you know? So if we're in C, something about that sounds weak. Also with the G in the bass, it sounds weak. So instead, you can use the 4 chord, and I've already played that for you, so you know that sounds good. And what I did was I just lowered the chord third, right? So 6, I moved it down a third to the 4 chord. Also in the major scale, the minor 3 chord sounds kind of weak as well. Or over the G. So in either case, it's kind of a weak harmony, and so you could just use the 1 chord in its place. And again, I just took the 3 chord and moved it down a third. The 4 chord and the minor 2 chord, those exchange pretty well. So in major or over the 5th. So those are just 2 that you can interchange, the 4 chord and the minor 2. They interchange well. In the minor key, okay, let's go to C minor now. The 3 chord sounds weak, in my opinion, over the pedal. So instead of that, you can use the 5 chord. And the 5 chord could be minor or it could be major, depending on the context, okay? So instead of this, you would play this, or the major version. And that's a stronger harmony. Or in the minor key, maybe you have a major 6 chord. So in C minor, that is A flat. And it, I don't know. I don't like it so much. So we can use the 4 chord in exchange for the 6 chord. And we already know that the 4 chord sounds stronger. So I hope that's helpful, and that little diagram is in the worksheet that you can keep. Now here's an example. This is the tune Morning Song, I believe. It sounds like this. Entire hymn can be played over a pedal point, which is pretty cool. I've circled the first note because that's the note that I'm going to hold as the pedal. I'm holding the dominant note, okay? So that would be C, because we are in the key of F minor. Now just listen to the melody over that pedal, and you'll quickly see that it has the potential for a very cool pedal point reharm. You're just yearning for one at this point. Okay, so I have kind of simplified the harmonies here, and then I did one substitution, but really we didn't have to do much substituting at all in this one because the harmonies are already fairly intuitive. All right, so let me play that as is. Oh, I forgot to do the pedal point. All right, here we go. So that's all you have to do, and there you have a very simple reharmonization with a pedal point. Of course, you don't have to do a pedal point under the entire hymn. It can just be for a phrase or a couple measures, but this hymn just so happens to sound good over a pedal point for the whole time. Number 3, lower the bass line of the existing hymn by thirds. I really like this one. I do it a lot. So what you do is take the existing harmonies that are written in your hymnal and you drop the bass line down by either a major or minor third. And the way you know whether it's a major or minor third is whether it's determined by whether the written harmony is a major chord or a minor chord. So let's say, you have a C major chord. From the root upwards, let's figure out the intervals. The first interval is a major third. The second interval is a minor third. Now if we keep going in a pattern of major, minor, major, minor, then next we get a B flat. Or wait, nope, we get a B natural. And then we get a D. And then we get an F sharp. Then an A. And then it's going to get back to C sharp and keep going that way. So that's what the chord sounds like if you follow that major, minor pattern upwards. What if we start with a minor triad? The minor C triad. Well, first from the root up, we have a minor third, and then a major third. Then we can go up by a minor third to B flat, major, minor, major. And that's what that chord sounds like with the major minor pattern. So basically I say all that because if you have a major triad, then you're going to go down by what? A major or minor third? Which one? A minor third. Just to keep that pattern going. So that's how you will lower the bass. But if you have a minor triad to begin with, then you'll lower it by a major third. This is just a rule of thumb, okay? It's something that almost always is going to sound good. Of course you can make alterations, but that's just a standard pattern to go on. So what you will do is play the original harmonies above, and then you'll change the root by lowering it a third. The root itself of the chord changes, and the function of the melody note may change as well. Here we go with an example. This tune is Redhead 76, I think. Go to Dark Gethsemane. The original sounds like this. tactic? Well, that's going to make our hymn start out minor, which might be cool. Or, since we have 2 repeated E flat chords at the beginning, maybe let's play the first chord as just regular E flat, and then transition to our tactic. So that would be the second chord, E flat over C. We've lowered that bass by a minor third. And then on the next chord shift, the written chord is B flat. B flat, of course, is a major triad, and so we'll lower the bass by a minor third to G. Back to E flat over C. You can hear this giving it a jazzy feel because now we've suddenly got sevenths in the chord, right? The next measure, we have an A flat chord, and we can lower that bass by a minor third to F. So go ahead and fill in the next ones while I play them. And then, rather than keep going in this fashion, I'm going to pull us out and go back to the original harmonies so we can cadence on E flat. So B flat 7, E flat. Altogether, this sounds something like this. So it's a really fun way to play with the modalities and sort of the major, minor sounds throughout the hymn. And again, you don't have to do this on every single chord, but just select chords. And in fact, if you do it on fewer chords than what I just did, it might have a greater impact because it arrests the attention a little bit more. Tactic number 4, add color tones. This really gives it a bit of a jazzy feel, as much jazzy feel as you want, of course. You can go minimal or maximal. Of course, our color tones are these stacked thirds that I was just talking about. The first one being a 7th. You have the option of a major or minor 7th. If you just want to add color, but not change the function of the chord, you probably want to add a major 7th. This sound doesn't tell your ear that you're necessarily moving anywhere. It's just a nice extra sound. But if you play the minor 7th, well, that has a dominant function and you want to go, 5-1. So watch out for that. Ninths, it's really just a whole step above the root. So you can think about it as a second if you want to. Again, these usually don't have much effect on the function of the chord. It's just a nice color. 11ths, these sort of have a 4-3 suspension quality. What I mean is, this kind of sound. So that's the 11th right there. It's a 4th above the root. You may or you may not want to resolve it to the 3rd. That's up to you. 13ths, they have a nice 6-5 suspension quality to them. And again, you can resolve that suspension or not. Here is left be the tie that binds, and I'm going to try to read my little chords here. First of all, let me just play it through the way it is written originally. what if we were to add in some color tones here and there? Let's see. Yeah, so that adds a thickness, a fullness to it, some interest, and a bit of a jazzy sound. Now, if you're not sure where to start or which color tones to throw in, here are 3 easy chord formations that almost always work. Okay, so again, in the key of F, let's say I have my triad here, F. You can throw in a 9th by playing a cluster with the second in there. So F, G, A, C. And any chord you go to, that cluster is going to sound nice. I was just using those 9ths throughout that example. You can tell that sounds really pretty. Another easy chord formation is the quartal chord. That just means that your fingers are spaced out in perfect 4th intervals. So from the 5th of that F chord, C, I go down by 4ths. C, G, D, over the F. Messed up a little, but you get the point there. The chordal sound is really cool because of how it's spaced out, and if you can just keep that same formation in your hand, it's pretty easy overall. The 3rd chord formation is just adding the 7th, the major 7th, above the root. You can do that in your left hand or in your right hand, whatever is more comfortable. And again, instead of playing an octave in your left hand, you would just play a major 7th and keep that sort of formation in the hand. Before we cover strategy number 5, please take just a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel, The Church Musician's Assistant. The red subscribe button is just below this video. And why am I asking you to subscribe? Well, because I put out educational videos like this one all the time, like more than weekly, as well as tons more resources for church musicians. And you don't want to miss out on all of that invaluable content. Also, when you subscribe, you're helping this channel go up in YouTube and Google rankings, which in turn helps show these videos to more people across the world and share this passion and education with others. So your likes and your comments and your subscribes really do make a difference to me and to those who use this content. Okay, so I'm going to move on and we're going to keep trucking with these reharm strategies. Okay, number 5, and there's quite a few little subsections of this one, but number 5 is to use cadential substitutions. First of all, you can use substitutions for your dominant chords. It doesn't necessarily have to be a chord that is going to tonic. It can be any chord that has a dominant function in the hymn. It can be a 2 chord that's going to 5, or a 3 that's going to 6, or anything, but you can use these substitutions if that chord has a dominant function. The first example is, and yeah, that looks complicated, but it really is not. It's just the dominant chord, the dominant 7 chord, with a lowered 5th. So really it's a diminished triad with that seventh hanging on at the top. And of course, you would not want that lowered fifth to clash with the melody note. If the melody note is the fifth, then maybe this one isn't going to sound so good. It's up to you in the context, of course. But here's an example. This is coming from Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. Okay, that's the original, something like that. And here is one way you could incorporate that dominant 7 with the flat 5 chord. Now you see that on the third beat, I changed the chord to a regular 5 because I didn't really want that G flat to clash with the G in the melody. That's up to you. You don't have to do that. It's okay. It's just a little bit crunchy, and that's all right. Okay. The second substitution chord is the tritone substitution chord. What this literally is the flat major 2 chord with a 7th. So it is a major minor chord built on the half step above the tonic. Does that make sense? So if we're in F, which Blessed Be the Tie That Binds is an F, then a half step above is G flat. So we'll build a major minor chord on that note. This is our tritone sub chord, and it goes to F. There you go. This is one way we can use it at the ends of Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. I really, really like this one. It is very jazzy. Oh, again, this is the original. And here's the tritone sub. I'll play that again. And you can see there is some melody note clashing, but honestly, I didn't really care. My ear didn't care. Depends on context. Third chord is the German 6, commonly known as German 6. What it actually is, I'm playing an F here. It's the major 6th chord lower to half step, built as a major minor chord. So in F, what is the flatted 6? It's D flat. Now, a quicker way to figure out that is rather than go up, go down. So think, what's a major third below tonic? D flat. Okay, and then build a major minor chord on top of that. Ooh. And of course, the root wants to go to C in the key of F. So the root wants to go to the dominant of the tonic rather than the root of the tonic. And that's okay. That can work for us. But we don't have to make it go to that note. We can just go straight to tonic, which I have done in this little example. So I'm reminding you what this sounds like originally. And then I have written in the 5 chord on the first beat, and then I transition to the German 6 and resolve to 1. Yes, so romantic. Alright, so that's the German 6. And it somewhat clashes, you can see, in the melody, but again, I kind of don't care. It doesn't bother me personally. Fourth chord you can use is, everyone knows this one probably, it's the diminished, the 7 diminished chord. And so in the key of F, what would that be? Well, it's going to be a half step below the root, and then you're going to build a diminished 7 chord. And of course, it doesn't really have a stable root. Any of those 4 pitches could be the root. It can fluctuate, and therefore it has a lot of possibilities as to where it could take you. And that can be really useful for modulations and such. But in this case, we're just going to take it straight to 1. So here we are. Blessed be the tie that binds, and we're going to use this 7 diminished chord on the 3rd beat. You can see an example that I left the C in the pedal because the C is the dominant, and it really helps tell the ear that we're going to 1. Whereas if I just played the diminished chord with that E in the bass, something about it makes my ear want to go somewhere else. You know, it kind of wants to go to D minor that way, which could be cool, but we don't want to do that here, so I'll leave the C in the bass to help. Great. Okay, now as far as using cadential substitutions go, the 2-5-1 progression is super useful. This is one that is employed by jazz musicians tons. Basically, it's just the circle of fifths, 5 of 5 of 5 of 5, and so it can get you to any key that you want to go, right? If you start on C, C goes to F, and then you go to B flat, and then E flat, then A flat, then D flat, and then G flat, and then B, and then keep going, so it can get you anywhere, which is really handy. And you can experiment with the aforementioned substitutions for the 2s as well as the 5s. So as far back as you go in this 5 of 5 of 5 sort of progression, you can use any of those substitutions to mix it up. Now, here's the last whole phrase of the tie that binds, and the harmony originally is something like this. Okay, and what I've done is I've used 2 different two portions of this have the 2-5-1 sort of progression in it. If you look at the first measure, we've got a C chord, and we're going to use this as the dominant of F, the dominant of F, but we're going to use F as the dominant of B flat, and B flat is going to be the dominant of E flat. And because I can't really keep going, we would get to A flat, and that would conflict with the melody. We're just gonna take it back to F with a little chromatic bass line there. And then I want to go to D minor here, so we're going to go to D minor. D minor will function as the dominant of G. Then that functions as the dominant of C, and then we get 5-1. So all together we get the 2-5-1 progression. If this video has fired you up to not only reharmonize, but to get innovative with your hymn playing, I would like to offer you my extensive online course. It is called Creative Hymn Playing for Keyboardists. You can explore this course more at the link in the description box below, so I won't go on and on in this video about it, but you have that resource to look at. The link below will tell you all about it. This course is going to help you get the skills and the motivation you need to take your hymn playing to the next level and maximize your positive impact in music ministry. And I believe there's no better time than now to get that training that you have been wanting for a long time. Now, before you go, please like and subscribe to this channel, and please go download that 5 reharm strategies worksheet so that you can have these ideas in perpetuity. I hope that you have enjoyed this and that you've gotten a lot out of it. I really thank you for watching all the way through, and until next time, I bless you.